Hi guys, I just got a download. This may help somebody who is struggling. This has to do with withdrawal, like from addictions or anything where you're going to have some kind of withdrawal and it's going to mess with your mind. It's not even just withdrawals, relapse mode. If you're in recovery, you could be going through relapse mode and not even know it. Like your anger will start coming out. You get short and shitty with people. And I just want to give you some advice on when these things happen. I mean, obviously later in the day when you're in the moon or whatever, you're going to be like, oh, why'd I do that? Even if you're messed up on drugs. Well, at least I did back in years ago. I used to like pray after a day of partying sometimes and be like, why did I do that? That money went. Why did we do that again? Why did I do that again? So the message that I'm hoping will help somebody is everybody doesn't have to be on mental health medication. But when you are going through withdrawal from addiction or just recovery from something, even if it's food, you are going to have triggers, and you have to realize what the triggers are, or you're going to just keep going backwards. Okay, here's an example. People were like, oh, here I am. This is, okay, we're talking like 10 years ago. Here I am using and stuff like that. So I don't feel like I should even be able to go into a doctor and say, I need help, because I feel guilt, right? But everybody kept going, you need medication, you need medication, you need medication, because I was nervous all the time and stuff. You don't always need the medication. You need to get the drugs out of your system, get your head cleared, find out what your trigger points are. I went on a medication because I could not sleep. Maybe it was going through withdrawals, or maybe it was just when you're using, you literally, your mind feels like you're insane sometimes. Not when you're high, you don't, but at the end of it, you're feeling like that, right? Okay, I get real here. So what I'm trying to say is I went on medication because everybody else thought I should. That medication, I didn't talk at all for like 3 years. I would just stare at people. The medication, the side effect from it was called Geodone. It was an antipsychotic drug. Now, I don't even have a diagnosis for being any kind of mental health. When you get in trouble and you go into, some kind of program like drug court, or they make you go into mental health. Now, they got to come up with a diagnosis. So people were like bipolar, PTSD, okay? Ritalin, all that stuff, none of that worked. It didn't do anything to me. Where it made other people high or whatever, it didn't do anything to me. What I'm trying to say is that medication took 3 years away from my life because I didn't realize that the side effect of that medication was obsessing. Now here I am going to the doctor because of the worry. The worry is what everybody was like, you're going to have a nervous breakdown if you don't stop worrying. No, my life was fucked up. My ex was working against me, bringing home the drugs. When I get clean, he'd bring them home, vice versa. I'm not innocent here. 3 years on a medication, and I'm a talker if you watch my videos, right? That's all I do. My whole family's like this. Those 3 years, I didn't speak. Everybody thought I was gone, that my mind was gone. I had a nervous breakdown. I had a friend from a job. 5 years I was at this job, and we'd talk over the thing for back and forth. She never did a drug in her life, but she listened to me, and she was a great listener, and she said, why don't you try to wean yourself off that medication? Because now, tell me this isn't God working, and I look back at this. My ex-husband lost his job. Didn't tell me for a few weeks about it. That's how I lived. Couldn't get the medication anymore. It was $300 a month for an antipsychotic. Now I'm thinking, how can I start borrowing money? How can I get money to get this drug so I could sleep and my mind could be good? When turns out this drug was making me obsess and worry. It was a side effect. So what I'm trying to say here is this is mainly for mental health and addiction, because people who are getting off of drugs, especially hard drugs that you've been on for years, okay? It takes 4 to 5 years to get that stuff completely out of your system and get your mind back. So if you are going to go on medication, ask why. Make sure it's specific. And if you start getting like I got, like you're not talking and you know it's not you and it's not helping, get off it immediately. But also pinpoint the triggers of, for me, anger. Like embarrassment would bring anger. Anybody who would say something embarrassing to me, or if I felt embarrassed, I was taught to never ask for help. So if I ever had to ask for help, and I did because of what we were doing, and all right, that's a whole nother story. I'll share my story another time. It's so much, but what I'm trying to say is, make sure if you are having trouble getting off of everything, or even you've been off. Okay, you know how in AA, some people are able to quit by themselves, okay? And I admit it. However, I watched a few of those people. I don't know if you know what the term, when you get sober, but you don't do the recovery part of it, you don't do the work. I think they call it like wet brain or something like that. Because now, yeah, you got off of alcohol, but did you deal with everything the resentments, why you drank, why you were addicted, stuff like that, right? Now I'm getting off course, but this is mostly about medication. I wasted 3 years of my life. I was on this medication. Long story short, when I couldn't get it anymore, my friend is like, why don't you wean yourself down, blah, blah, blah. And her encouragement is what helped me. And when I stopped that medication, 2 weeks later, I was back to talking this much. And my family was like, they thought I had a nervous breakdown. It was the medication for 3 years. Okay, so that was another delay in my life. Losing everything a few times because of addiction was another delay in my life. There are not going to be any more delays. I had went way too long. I had to walk away from a toxic marriage because it don't change. It's insanity. I'm not going to go down that road ever again, but if your partner is, you have to use discernment and decide it's time to walk away. What's more important, my life and my health and my happiness, or doing drugs and getting on all kinds of mental health medication you may not even need? So I don't know if this message is going to help somebody. I'm sorry, but I was making a bed at my job, and I'm like, I got to put this out there. 3 years of my life were wasted, and be aware of this drug, Geodone. Its side effects are obsessing. So I'm on a trip I'm on a trip in Myrtle Beach, and I'm not having a good time. Everybody's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm so obsessed that I left a file in the wrong place at this job because this lady was like mean. And that's what I'm saying, stuff like that. When I found out it was the medication, I was the happiest person in the world. And I think that was one of the biggest things for me to never go back. I mean, I started a long time ago with this recovery journey. So all the tools that I learned helped me in this last situation that I was in. People are like, how'd she get out of this? How'd she get out of that? Because I use my tools of not letting people mess me over, not believing everything that people say anymore. You know what I mean? That was me. I was naive for years. I don't even know. I hope this helps somebody. God bless you guys. Thank you.